All right, guys, so today we're going to talk about part of the final piece of the puzzle in terms of points of analysis. We're going to talk about symbolism, okay? And some of you did symbolism in your third draft, and that's fine. Most of us know what symbolism is in general, okay? We're just going to get into some of the nitty-gritty definitions of symbolism, okay? And really, there's only two definitions that you need to be concerned with. And one is universal symbols, and the other is authorial, has the word author in it, so that means that the author created it, or contextual. Contextual. Can't say that word. Contextual. Meaning it's defined in the context of the story. Okay? So we can see in general that the definition of symbolism is a literary device that refers to the use of symbols in a literary work. A symbol is something that stands for itself and also something else. Okay? And we just got done talking about the idea of universal versus contextual or authorial. And the universal symbol, this is a symbol that's understood by everyone. Okay? So for example, when I do this, what does that mean today?
Peace or Tupac or something else.
You're right.
You what? Oh, peace.
Peace. Now, at the end of World War II, that meant something different. What did that mean? It morphed into peace, but in World War II, that was, what does that look like? It starts with a V. Beautiful. Yeah, that meant victory in World War II. And then it morphed into peace. Same idea, right? Victory in war usually meant peace, and that's where it came from. Peace, right? So then, what about this?
Good job.
Good job.
Okay, gotcha.
Yes.
Okay, good job, yeah.
How many saw Gladiator?
It's been
Gladiator, the
it's
movie?
been a while.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
The first one, the original,
Right,
right?
where the emperor does this,
yeah.
or does this. What did that mean?
Pass or go, yay or nay?
Pass or go, that's a good one, yeah. Yeah, or
Agree or
nay, yeah.
disagree?
This meant, in Gladiator, this meant kill him, or you die. And this meant let him live. In reality, I'm gonna say this on video, even though I'm not 100% sure, but I think it's right. In reality, it was the opposite back in the gladiatorial days. Because the full gesture with the thumbs up was this, and it meant stick it in his chest. This meant drop the sword. So they actually, Hollywood actually turned it around.
Who turned it around?
Most of us kind of believe in Hollywood, right, in the movies. They just made it better like this. Okay, that looks better, it looks like you're going up. And so if you're standing on the side of a highway doing this, what does that mean?
Hitchhike.
Yeah, you need a ride.
Right.
What about this? One, yeah. But usually when you see fans doing this,
Number one? No.
number one, right? It means we
Oh,
won,
Yeah,
you know,
like number one?
champions.
Yeah.
Champions, okay.
That kind of thing, right? And what about that?
Rock on.
Rock on.
Yeah, right? This is actually the sign of the devil.
Yeah.
Two horns. This is a horny sign. Well, that's what it is, a sign of the devil. It used to be a big no-no when you did that. And that's why heavy metal sort of adopted it, because it was anti-Sabbath. What's that? I can do it too.
This-
Star Trek.
What's
Star
it
Trek, live long and prosper.
Thank
Uh-huh.
you. Live long and prosper. Yep, that's exactly right. And it's a universal symbol in the
Yeah.
future, obviously.
Everybody knows that one.
Yeah, right? What else do we have? What about when somebody does something like this?
Crazy?
Yeah, cuckoo.
Cuckoo, like you're crazy.
Going like this, right?
Yeah.
We should get away from stuff like that though, because it's not, we have a stigma on mental health in this country.
Yeah, yeah.
We don't want it.
That's why people say that you might need to be committed. That sort of
There's
thing.
really no such thing anymore, right? Because they closed down all of the mental health inpatient facilities, right? That's why you see a lot of homeless people on the streets talking to themselves, because a lot of those people are mentally ill. And prior to the 70s, they would have been an institution. But they closed them down because of bad healthcare practices and things like that. So they dumped them into the street, and there they are. Not all of them, but we've all seen examples of that. What about this? That's a nugget.
FU.
Oh, yeah,
What is it,
Offensive.
something carnal knowledge?
FU, yeah.
Yeah, that's universal, right? You do that anywhere in the world, and
Yeah.
you're gonna get a dirty look. And then you got the ones that are kind of regional, like when you
Then you have the one
go,
where.
that's Italian. Same
then
thing
you
with
have
this.
The
I
pencil.
can't do it right, I got a beard. You flip off, you flip them off.
You know
Another
the pencil
universal.
one, right?
What is it?
The pencil one.
What is that?
You know when you stick a pencil in between your fingers, and it's the international FU sign.
Oh, that, you mean like that?
Where you, yeah.
Yeah.
You stick a finger in between. You stick like a pencil in between your fingers.
Yes.
Straight up in the air.
Oh,
And,
okay. I did not know
That's
that.
the international symbol
Okay.
for that.
What other universal symbols we have? Smiling is a universal symbol for the most part. If you're human and you smile at somebody, it's generally a gesture of goodwill. Humans are the only animals that smile for pleasant reasons. Most other animals, when they smile, are smiling to threaten. They're showing their teeth.
Oh, yeah.
They're baring their fangs, and that's, you know,
Yeah.
when you think of a dog snarling, right? Something
Uh-huh.
coming. Oh, you're just looking. Keep it up. Okay, those are universal symbols. Pretty much no matter where you go, people are gonna understand that stuff. You're in a war and you come out and you wave a white flag, what does that mean?
Surrender, peace.
Surrender or
Surrender.
ceasefire, right? And that's universally accepted, because if it wasn't universally accepted, it wouldn't work, right? If you come out with a flag and you're waving it and somebody shoots you in the head, that symbol goes right out the window. So, another universally accepted symbol. Okay? Can you think of any others that are universal?
Gang song.
Like a wave.
Why not? Hi. It's so common that we don't even think of that as a symbol, but it is. Wait, I don't specifically know what it means, it's so ingrained into our heads, but yeah, what'd you say?
Gang songs.
Gang signs, they're universal in their gangs, right? And you have universal symbols that are universal to culture, like a cultural symbol, right? Where certain cultures have certain symbols. Gang signs are a good example of that. Yes, you flash a gang sign, everybody in your gang knows what that means. Right? Those are universal symbols. Now, the other kind of symbol is the contextual symbol, or as I wrote up here, authorial, the word author, okay? And that means that the symbol is defined in the context of the story itself, okay? And this is what frustrates learners all the time. It frustrated me in school to no end, right? You'd read a story or a poem and the teacher would be like, and that means blah, 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 and you'd be like scratching your head going, what? I didn't get that at all, where'd you get that? I just read an article on the internet where a student actually wrote letters to something like 1,500 writers, authors, and he received half of the response back, which is huge, asking them about the symbolism in their work, and do they do that on purpose, and half these writers said, no, we don't. And so, in other words, he was telling the teachers, you're making that stuff up off the top of your head. Okay. There are literary symbols as well, which is kind of what we're talking about. Okay. For example, snow and the color white generally symbolize death in literature. You think black symbolizes death, but it doesn't. It's white
Oh.
and cold. Okay. Yeah, it's very interesting when you start diving into stuff like that, and we're not going to dive into that here because you really don't need to dive into that. Okay. But if you ever get into literature to that extent, you'll see, particularly like Shakespeare and things like that, you'll see a lot of literary symbols that, you know, outside of that don't necessarily mean what they say, right? So an authorial symbol or a contextual symbol, for example, the book Moby Dick. right? By Herman Melville. The character, Captain Ahab, all right? The white whale, Moby Dick itself, is a symbol, okay, of frustration. Okay? It's a symbol of obsession, because he's obsessed with this white whale to the point where it ends up killing him. All right? But outside of Moby Dick, a white whale is just a big white cetacean. It's not a symbol at all, right? It's just a white whale. But within Moby Dick it is, because Melville says it is. And if the author says it is, then it becomes a symbol for the purpose of that story. Those are the kind of symbols, I mean, you see universals too, but those are the kind of symbols that you see in our short stories that were specifically selected because they have those kinds of symbols in them. And don't be upset if you didn't find them, it's okay. It's just one of the tools, right? We looked at 6 tools this semester: plot, conflict, character, setting, all those things. One of those tools is symbolism. The object is to understand the story in greater detail. And if you can do that through plot, or you can do that through character, you don't really have to necessarily worry about one of the points of analysis. Okay? So don't beat yourself over the head if you didn't come up with any symbols throughout the semester when you were reading those stories. It's okay. All right. Robert Frost is a good one with symbolism. The American poet, Robert Frost. Okay. Here's a poem called Fire and Ice. Okay. He utilizes symbolism to indicate to you how the world may be destroyed. Some say the world will end in fire, some say ice. From what I've tasted of desire, I hold with those who favor fire. But if it had to perish twice, I think I know enough of hate to say that for destruction, ice is also great and would suffice. It's not everybody's cup of tea. Right? Just like music, right? If you like music, and most people do, most people don't like all the genres of music. You like your own genre. I like classic rock. You might like hip hop. You might like country. You might like rap. You might like alternate, can't speak, alternative. Right? Everybody has different tastes. It's very subjective. Right? Songs are a good example of poetry in the modern world. Okay? Remember, not all poetry has to rhyme. You have free verse poetry too. Most of it has meter, meaning beat. Right? Almost all poetry has a beat. Almost all songs have a beat, no matter what genre you're talking about. And we're attracted to that. Why do you think that is? Why are we attracted to the rhythm or the beat in things? Don't think too deep about this. Think about just on the surface. Why do you think we're attracted to things that have a beat? This is a really silly, simple answer too, so.
Because it's a nice beat.
Why? You're not getting away with that. Why?
Because it's catchy,
Why?
because it gets in your head.
This is English class. Why? There's a why for everything you have to say. Yeah.
Well, I think that it makes it more interesting to what you're doing. Like if
Okay.
I'm cleaning or if I need to be listening to something, even if it's a TV or music, it makes whatever I'm doing a little bit more interesting.
I listen to music when I'm dusting and you find yourself dusting to the beat of the song.
Yeah, yeah. And
Why?
Because it makes it more interesting.
Why?
Not so boring.
Why?
I can't think of anything.
It's my favorite word today. Why?
Why?
Everybody go like this. Take your hand. Put it here. What do you feel?
Heartbeat.
Heartbeat.
Hopefully. Anybody not feel a heartbeat? Okay, you feel a heartbeat. That's your natural metronome. And a metronome is something in music that keeps a beat. So your heart is a natural metronome. And so we, having hearts, and animals too, by the way, you've heard the expression, music hath charm to soothe the savage beast. Meaning, anything with a heartbeat is going to be naturally attracted to things that have a beat. Whether it's rain, why do you think we like the sound of rain? It's relaxing. It's the sound of rain is like very relaxing, very soothing, right? Same thing she was saying with regard to, for example, doing a household chore with music is a lot easier than doing it without, because we kind of flow with the beat a little better. It makes it a lot more fun, it makes it a lot more enjoyable. But it's because of this natural metronome that we have in our chest. Almost everybody, you hear people say, I don't have any rhythm. Yeah, you do. You're just not listening.
It's in your heart.
Yeah, you're not listening. Right? And almost everybody can clap to their heartbeat. It's an easy beat. We know that beat. If you're a Floyd fan, you know it even more. All right? We all get that beat. And take that beat and change it, make it faster, make it slower. There's music. That's all it is. Whether you're talking about rap, whether you're talking about rhythm and blues, whether you're talking about classic rock. Yeah.
Does it also kind of have to do with like dopamine levels?
The what now?
Like the dopamine levels, like either like let's say you're working out and you're listening to like a high beat pace,
Yes.
like the dopamine levels kind of gives you more to keep on
Sure.
going.
That's called tempo. Right? Anybody know who John Philip Sousa is? He's the guy who wrote all those marching tunes, those patriotic tunes that you see the soldiers marching to, and you see the brass bands and parades. That's what they play. They play John Philip Sousa most of the time because the tempo of those things is upbeat, right? And it's much easier to move and to march to the beat when it's an upbeat. If you have a slow downbeat, like if you play Breathe by Pink Floyd, and you expect somebody to march a mile to that, it's not gonna happen, because the beat is like this. Literally, right? That's a good point, yeah. The tempo of a beat is something that will push you, okay? Okay. So in that poem that we just read, all right, the fire symbolizes the destructive and consuming emotions, such as jealousy, okay, the desire for power and anger and impulsivity. The ice symbolizes destructive and withholding emotions, such as hate or indifference or loneliness. How do we know? Because Frost told us so. That's why. Frost was a relatively recent poet, so we were able to ask him questions. All right, and he told us that, okay? Of course, the poet indicates to the reader that the literal meaning of fire and ice also make them capable of destroying, right? Things can burn, things can freeze, so it has a literal thing too. Remember in the very beginning, I said that symbols are themselves and also something else. That's what makes it a symbol. So in this case, the fire can be the destructive element, fire. It can also be, as they say here, the destructive and consuming emotions, such as jealousy, right? I'm angry. I was so angry, I was on fire. You hear people say that sometimes. Anger sometimes makes you feel like you're on fire. That's a symbol. Symbol, all right? And ice, when you picture ice, what do you think of when you think of ice? You think of slow moving, like a glacier, right? Or not moving at all because you're frozen. And so there's the symbolic association right there. Okay, the idea of you're cold as ice. That means you're calculating. Okay, you're not inclined to jump to a conclusion. You're calculating, meaning you're thinking about slowly. That's the idea. Okay. Okay. Common symbols. More symbols. The rainbow. What does the rainbow mean today?
Happiness or
No.
pride?
Pride, right? Well, even more specific, right? LGBTQ. They've co-opted the rainbow as their symbol. meaning all the colors of the rainbow, all the flavors of hue. That's what they're talking about.
Well, they just added like 2 new words.
They keep adding all the time.
LGBTQ
Plus.
and IA.
Yeah, you see the plus sign,
Yeah.
yeah. Give up, you're never gonna know them all. LGBTQ plus, whatever, could be anything, okay? But it used to mean what she said, what you say again?
Happiness, like when I was growing up, that's what it meant.
Yeah, the
I
rainbow of
mean,
happiness.
or when I've also heard, like the other day, I
That's
did see 2 perfect, like outside of my house, perfectly aligned rainbows. And at one point, I don't know if this is true or just a myth, but when you see a complete rainbow, it gave you luck of some
Yeah.
kind, you know?
Well, that's the whole
what I
pot
grew
gold
up
at the
with.
end of the rainbow thing.
Uh-huh.
Did you know rainbows are circular, they're not arches, they're circles? You just don't see the other half.
No.
Yeah, they're circles.
Yeah, it used to be
Cut off.
that back in the day, but now rainbows stand for a whole different thing, so.
Absolutely. Any biblical scholars here? What does the rainbow symbolize in the Bible?
And he won't flood the earth again.
Promise.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're right.
It was
That's
God's
true.
promise, that's where it came from, yeah. Right, because after the flood, there was the rainbow in the sky, and that was God's promise to the people that he would never destroy the world with water again, according to the Bible. The red rose, oh gosh, roses.
Symbolizes love. and
You can
romance.
get into rose symbolism all day, right? A red rose is a romantic thing. A white rose is a symbol of purity and pure love. A yellow rose is friendship, blah, blah, blah. A black rose is something else. All different color roses mean different things. If you're ever gonna buy a rose for somebody who's not your romantic interest, make sure you look it up first before you hand them a rose, because you never know what you're handling. Okay? The 4-leaf clover, luck, right? I remember spending hours in the yard on my hands and knees looking for 4-leaf clovers.
Yeah.
That hasn't changed, it still means the same thing.
It's still luck, yeah. Yeah. The wedding ring symbolizes commitment. It actually means eternity. Circle, right? Symbolizes eternity. Red, white, and blue. In our country, patriotism. In France, that's their colors too. So for them, it's the same thing. But other countries might not have that. Okay? That's a good one, the green traffic light. Thank God we know what that means. Thank God we know what a red traffic light means. It'd be chaos if we didn't, right?
Facts.
Tree blossoms symbolizing spring. The pilgrim hat. The hat that you see the pilgrims wear, that symbolizes Thanksgiving, just like the turkey, right? Santa Claus, Christmas. The manger, the religious Christmas. The menorah, Hanukkah. Those are all symbols. We don't usually think of those as symbols, but they are. Okay. The dollar sign, money. Right? Almost everywhere uses that dollar sign as a symbol for money, even if they don't use a dollar. Like even the euro has its own thing, and so does yen. But they all understand the dollar sign too. Okay. And the shopping cart, symbol of an online purchase. Right? You go on Amazon and you put something in the cart. You look at the little card up top. It has 1 or 2 if you're bad, 3 if you're spending too much. And then you click on the card and it shows you what you're, you know, it's like when you go shopping, you have a cart, right? It's the same idea. Okay? Symbols are everywhere, guys. And this is talking about the types of symbols in terms of, for example, emotional symbols, symbols that evoke emotional responses, okay? Imagery, okay? Visual elements that allow readers to understand complex themes, for example. Thematic connection, all right? Symbols can connect themes for readers within a story, okay? Character attributes, okay? Representing different attributes of characters in a story. And then, of course, deeper meaning. This is kind of cool, right? These are examples of symbols in movies, right? So a white cowboy hat in a classic Western meant a good guy. And a black cowboy hat, not so much anymore, Well, the black cowboy hat meant a bad guy. Okay. The mockingbird, and to kill a mockingbird was a symbol of innocence. So to kill a mockingbird meant to kill the innocence of Boo Radley, if you're familiar with the story. Okay. Balloons tend to mean hopes and dreams, for example, in the movie Up. All right. Feathers in the beginning and the end of Forrest Gump. We're still arguing about what that feather means, that stupid feather that goes floating around.
You're right.
Yeah, we still argue about that. They're not talking either, it's annoying. Okay. Beginnings and endings, that's a cop-out, saying beginnings and endings, because it's in the beginning and it's in the end. But what does it mean? We don't know. And that's the cool part about a symbol like that, an authorial symbol that was created by the author, and then the author doesn't speak. That's the cool part. You'll debate that for generations, especially with a big movie like that. Okay?
Yeah.
The Yellow Brick Road. Street paved with gold in The Wizard of Oz. The Wizard of Oz, guys, is loaded with symbolism. If you ever want to really get into it, buy yourself a book on the symbolism in The Wizard of Oz.
I grew up with Wizard of Oz.
It's amazing. It's amazing the symbolism in there.
Won't you carry nothing, won't you feel alone, 'cause he's on down the road.
That's the Wiz. It's not the Wizard of Oz.
Same thing.
That's Michael Jackson. I like that version. Now you got Wicked coming out, which is the prequel. Right. That should be good. The coin toss, fate. Let's flip a coin. Let's let fate decide. Meaning we have no idea which way this coin is going to go, so let's leave it to fate. Fog usually means confusion. A cat, okay? In the case of Breakfast at Tiffany's means home and belonging. Cats can mean all kinds of weird things too.
Yes.
Cats are omens, right? An omen is usually like a prediction of dire stuff, especially a black cat.
Crossing the street in front of you.
Yeah. Yeah, that falls into the same category as walking under a ladder, tossing salt over your shoulder, those kinds of things.
Or the mirror breaking in front
The
of you.
mirror breaking.
I had that happen once.
I've broken mirrors too, and I'm still here.
And, you know, I just, as a matter of fact, I told my son that yesterday, because he told me about the cat, and I'm like, you know what? That's what they say, but it's all in your head.
It is. And you know what? It's
all in your head,
it's self-fulfilling too. You break a mirror and then you do something stupid, and you go, oh my God, I broke a mirror, that's why I did
Yeah.
that. It's circular logic is what they call it. Circular logic.
I thought about it.
A door, transition, right? Doors symbolize transition. Deer, vulnerability. Why? Because deer are vulnerable. But they're really not. They got speed and they got almost 360-degree vision. It's very hard to catch a deer on the foot. Okay. We're not gonna get into the motif stuff. There's some examples in here you guys can check out, all right? But that's what we're talking about when we talk about authorial, and we talk about contextual, we talk about universal, okay? Try to spot it. Don't panic if you can't spot it in a story, but try to spot it in a story. That thing I said earlier where that kid wrote to the authors and half of them came back and said, no, we don't use symbols like that. Stephen King is in that too. Everyone knows who Stephen King is, right? The horror writer.
Yep.
He once said, if you have a message to send, use Western Union. In other words, don't confuse your readers with symbolism. Take that for whatever it means. Just an interesting tidbit.